and Dr. Soumya, Ms. Srija, and others for inviting me to share some of my thoughts, some of my reflections on Nietzsche. First of all, let me tell you one thing, that let us not take it as a kind of formal session. I am not giving you a kind of organized kind of lecture on Nietzsche. I just wanted to share some reflections in a very informal manner, and I prefer doing it in an interactive mode, so that you can interrupt at any moment. You can interrupt me, asking questions, and if you have any points to be clarified, and if you have criticisms, any kind of comments on what I'm trying to say. So let us take it in that way. Don't take it a formal keynote kind of business. I don't actually prefer doing that. See, and Shija wanted me to speak both in Malayalam and English, a Manglish kind of presentation. I'll try to do that. If language should not be a barrier, in discussing what Nietzsche says or what Nietzsche said. One of the difficulties that I face here is that talking about Nietzsche itself is a difficult endeavor. Like I would say that Nietzsche is not a philosopher, first of all. Even Nietzsche don't consider himself as a philosopher, right? I would say that he is in the borders of philosophy, and trying to problematize the very discourse of philosophy. Okay, so discussing Nietzsche philosophically is another difficulty, right? How to philosophically engage a thinker with a thinker who himself is not a philosopher. Okay, ചിലപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾക്കിത് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഒരു പ്രശ്നം തോന്നും, കാരണം the whole seminar is on the philosophy, Nietzsche and philosophy and so on. But see, philosophy means what? First of all, we normally take philosophy as a kind of and as a field of conceptual analysis, a conceptual kind of engagement, or conceptual engineering, so to say. Either you construct a system building kind of thing, a conceptual engineering business, and or you do some kind of conceptual exercise, conceptual analysis, doing some kind of conceptual engagement. So both in these two senses, I don't consider Nietzsche as a philosopher, because Nietzsche was not interested in system building kind of thing. No system building in philosophy, in Nietzsche's thinking. He is not interested in constructing a system, philosophical system. So he is not a philosophy or conceptual engineer in that sense. And neither he was a conceptual analyst, because he was not interested in conceptual analysis. Some other kind of genealogical or historical kind of analysis you can find, but no conceptual analysis in Nietzsche. So especially as far as a student of philosophy, I would say that we don't actually, in the syllabus, you can go through the syllabus of philosophy, you don't find much space for Nietzsche's thinking, because, and it is precisely because of this reason that I would say that Nietzsche is big, important for philosophy. Okay, not because he is a philosopher, because of his membership with the philosophical community, but because of his position outside philosophy, that he is important for philosophy. This is one of my initial reflections on Nietzsche. So talking about Nietzsche philosophically is a very difficult kind of exercise. So I don't go for that here, because in Nietzsche, as many of you know, that there are many concepts. Of course, there are many concepts, like in the inaugural session, your coordinator has pointed out that there are some concepts like eternal return, will to power, and very notions, many concepts that are available in Nietzsche's writings. But you do not find any kind of what you call philosophical argumentation, no substantiation. Like he was not bothered in arguing out the case. That you cannot just see or find any kind of rational or philosophical justification, logical justification in support of his claim, either the eternal return or the power, will to power, of slave morality and so on. So, see, then what am I supposed to do now? What is it that a student of philosophy expected to do while engaging Nietzsche? This is one of the difficulties that I face, and I will just start with this difficulty and try to have some kind of what you call kind of free reflections on Nietzsche, Nietzsche's thoughts, Nietzsche's thinking, not Nietzsche's philosophy. Okay. So my concern here in this lecture or in this session is Nietzsche's notion of the eternal return. The eternal return of the same. This is a phrase that is available in Nietzsche's writings, in many of his writings. Like he has tried to formulate this thesis of the eternal return of the same in many ways, sometimes in a contradictory manner as well. So, how to make sense of it is seemingly a kind of absurd notion, right? There is an absurdity in the eternal return, the theory of the eternal, not a theory, but a kind of thinking, a kind of, in a loose sense, a thesis of the eternal return of the same. What does it mean? And how to make sense of this absurdity of this thesis that everything returns, eternally, again, eternally. What is the absurdity? How to make sense of this absurdity? I would say that there is some kind of absurdity, some kind of madness, in the very notion of the theory or in the thesis of the eternal return of the same. But there is a method in that madness. Okay, how to find out the method in Nietzsche's madness, especially in his concept of the concept of the eternal return of the same. This is the challenge that we have now. Absurdity means asambandham in Malayalam, like asambandham. Asambandham means bandhamillatha, poruthamillatha, some kind of contradiction. Okay. How does it become an absurd notion? First of all, the eternal return of the same. Eternal return of the same എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മലയാളത്തിൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണമെങ്കിൽ അനന്തമായ തിരിച്ചുവരവ്, eternal recurrence or eternal return of the same. ഒന്നിൻ്റെ അനന്തമായ തിരിച്ചുവരവ്. What does it mean? Does it make any sense to you? Nietzsche says that everything returns eternally. Everything returns eternally. What does it mean? Because now I am talking to you. This is an event. I am giving a lecture to you and you are listening to me. Imagine a situation, or imagine that the same situation will repeat again. Repeat again in the sense that eternally in some other future situation. Or imagine that it has already taken place in some other past situations. Okay. What does it actually mean? Okay. Does it make sense? നമ്മുടെ normal ആയിട്ടുള്ളൊരു thinking. This is a abnormal kind of thinking. I would say that is a wild thinking. Wild thinking means what? Wild thinking means you are going wild in the sense that you leave the familiar domain of thinking and you go to the forest. Vanyam, wild. Wild എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ തന്നെ വന്യമാണ്. കാട്ടിൽ കയറുന്ന ചിന്ത എന്ന് നമ്മൾ മലയാളത്തിൽ പറയും. എന്താ ഈ കാട് കയറുക എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ? കാട് കയറുക എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നാട് വിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ കാട്ടിലേക്ക് പോവുകയാണ് നിങ്ങളുടെ ചിന്ത. സന്യസിക്കാൻ പോകുന്നതല്ല അതിൻ്റെ അർത്ഥം. it means that you are living out the familiar kind of, നാട് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങളുടെ ഫെമിലിയർ ആയിട്ടുള്ള, അത് നടന്ന് പരിചയപ്പെട്ട വഴികൾ, നിങ്ങൾ സഞ്ചരിച്ച നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പരിചിതമായ വഴികൾ വിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ അപരിചിതമായൊരു സ്ഥലത്തേക്ക് പോകുക. ദിസ് ഈസ് കാട് കയറൽ, വന്യം, ഗോയിങ് വൈൽഡ്. ഓക്കെ, സി this is a kind of adventurous move in thinking, a kind of adventure. സാഹസികമായ ഒരു ചിന്തയാണ്, ഒരു സാഹസമുണ്ട് അതിൽ, അഡ്വഞ്ചർ ഉണ്ട്. Nietzsche used to say that live adventurously, dangerously. So Nietzsche's thinking is a kind of thinking dangerous, in an abnormal, dangerous, even absurd way. Okay, see, എന്താണ് ഈ കാട് കയറൽ? So normally, okay, in our familiar ways of thinking, according to the familiar mode of thinking, that nothing repeats, nothing returns, because the moment that I talk to you now has already gone. അല്ലേ, ഞാൻ പറയുന്ന സമയത്ത് തന്നെ ആ മൊമെൻറ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞു. ടൈമിനെ നമ്മൾ കാണുന്നത് ആസ് എ ലീനിയർ കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് തിങ്, എ ലൈൻ, എ സ്ട്രെയിറ്റ് ലൈൻ. There is a point here, and there will be a point after this, which you call future, and there will be another point, and you think of time as a linear kind of, linearity of time, past, present, and future. Okay, and each moment in this linear time is irrepeatable. Like ഈ മൊമെന്റ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് റിപ്പീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ? ഇപ്പോൾ അടുത്ത മൊമെന്റ് a kind of mathematical point. Okay, think of time in a mathematical manner, that there are some dots. Okay, a straight line, okay, with discrete moments, okay, mathematical points, like there are some points here, okay, and this could be taken as an event now, and there is an event here, and there is another event after this. Okay, so there is a kind of before after structure of time. Okay, a kind of linear structure of time. Okay, this is a linear notion of time, and the time which we have, the sense of temporality that we have, is actually based on this linearity of time, the linear understanding of time, time as a line. Okay, a mathematical points. Okay, see, am I audible to you? See, so there is a kind of before, and there is a sense of after. Okay, so there will be a moment after this, and there was a moment before this, and each moment in this line is irrepeatable. There cannot be, there is no return of the same possible, according to your commonsensical understanding of calendrical time. According to our familiar notion of time, each moment is an irrepeatable moment. No repetition possible, no return possible, no recurrence possible. Okay, this is finished. ഈ മൊമെൻറ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞു അല്ലേ? ഈ മൊമെൻറ്റ് ഇനി എവിടെയാണുള്ളത്? ഓൺലി ഇൻ യുവർ മെമ്മറി. Okay, the retentional aspect of the present, that it is being retained in your memory. The past is a retentional moment, retentional aspect of this particular present moment. It can no longer exist outside your memory. അല്ലേ? ഇതിനപ്പുറത്ത് നിൽക്കുന്നില്ല. And memory, the retention is being quantified as the past moment. അല്ലേ? ഇപ്പോൾ ഇന്നലെ നിങ്ങൾ പറയുന്നു, ഇന്നലെ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താ? ഇന്നലെ എവിടെ നിൽക്കുന്നത്? ടുമോറോ ക്യാൻ എക്സിസ്റ്റ് ഓൺലി ഇൻ എ കലൻഡ്രിക്കൽ ടൈം. ടുമോറോ മീൻസ് വാട്ട്? ടുമോറോ ഈസ് എൻ്റെയും നിങ്ങളുടെയും ഒക്കെ യെസ്റ്റർഡേ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒന്നാണ്. 17th, right? Today is 17th, right? 17th October 2023. And yesterday means what? 15th. Okay? Sorry, 16th October 2023. This is same, for me and for you as well, right? എനിക്കും നിങ്ങൾക്കൊക്കെ ഒരേ ഇന്നലെയാണുള്ളത്. Even though at the experiential level, my yesterday is totally different from the way you experienced your past. Okay, experiential level, at the phenomenological or the experiential level, my yesterday is different from your yesterday, and my future would be different from your future. My memory would be different from your memory. But according to the calendrical time, yesterday is yesterday for both myself and yours. Okay, universal kind of time. Okay, so calendar is a quantified time. Okay, the time which is quantified. Okay, and this is the concept of time that we have. We live in this time. വേണമെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് പറയാം, നിങ്ങൾ ജീവിക്കുന്ന കലണ്ടറിലാണ് അല്ലേ? നമ്മളൊക്കെ ജീവിക്കുന്ന ഈ കലണ്ടറിക്കൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ടൈമിലാണ്. വേർ you have a linear notion of time, and each moment is an irrepeatable moment. There is no return possible. Okay, clear to you? Yeah. Suppose you have another time, like time as a circle. Just imagine a time, a concept of time, a circular time. Okay, what will happen if the time is a circle? Okay, time or circle, what kind of temporality that you have, you will have when your time is circular, having a circular notion of time. There are, of course, some moments, there are moments, okay, and see, circularity means what? Okay, this will come again. Okay, and take this particular moment. As you live, this particular moment in the circular time. See, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റും ഇത് ഈ മൊമെന്റ് ഇതിന് മുമ്പാണെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റുമോ? ഇതിന് മുമ്പാണെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റും, മുൻപ്, ബിഫോർ, വൈ? കാരണം ഇതിങ്ങനെ വരുമ്പോൾ ഇതിന്റെ പിന്നിലാവില്ല അല്ലേ? ഇതിങ്ങനെ നോക്കുകയാണ്, ഇത് ഈ ബിഫോറും ആഫ്റ്ററും ഉള്ളത്, you have the sense of before and sense of after only in a linear notion of time. It's a cyclical or a kind of time as a cycle, a kind of seasonal time or whatever. ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മളൊരു സാധാരണ ടൈമിനെ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ഇപ്പോൾ ഇത് തുലാവർഷം ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, തുലാവർഷം വിൽ റിപ്പീറ്റ് അഗെയിൻ, ഓക്കെ, ഇൻ ദ നെക്സ്റ്റ് ഇയർ. ഓക്കെ, ക്ലിയർ? ആൻഡ് യുവർ monsoon will repeat again. Okay, so if time is being understood as a circle, okay, then there is no sense of before and sense of after. Okay, ഈ മൊമെന്റ്, ഇപ്പോൾ അരിസ്റ്റോട്ടിൽ പണ്ട് പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു കാര്യമുണ്ട്, ട്രോജൻ വാർ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Okay, if time is a circle, then can you just determine whether Trojan war is before another event or after that event? Okay, അല്ലേ? ഒരു പ്രത്യേക ഇവൻറ്റ് നിങ്ങൾ എടുക്കുകയാണ്, ഈ ഇവൻറ്റ് മറ്റൊരു ഇവൻറ്റിന് മുൻപാണോ ശേഷമാണോ? ഇതിന് മുമ്പാണോ ശേഷമാണോ? Clear? The question is, see, whether it is before this particular event or after this event. You cannot just determine whether this is before the B or after B. Clear? So there is no sense of temporality. Okay, there is no sense of temporality in terms of before and after. Okay, within the circular notion of time. Okay, clear? So before is possible only in a linear notion of time, in a linear concept of time. Okay, the sense of before and the sense of after is possible only within this linearity of time. Okay, the linear structure of time as a line. Okay, where each moment is an irrepeatable moment. See, ഇവിടെയാണ് നീച്ചെ പറയുന്നത്, എവറിത്തിങ് റിപ്പീറ്റ്സ്, എവറിത്തിങ് റിട്ടേൺസ് എറ്റേണലി. ഈസ് ഇറ്റ് എൻ അബ്സർഡിറ്റി? ഓക്കെ, ഇതാണ് എൻ്റെ ചോദ്യം. ദിസ് ഈസ് ദ അബ്സർഡിറ്റി ഓഫ് നീച്ചേസ് thesis of the eternal return of the same, because it is not possible. It is a kind of, I would say that it is not a metaphysical statement. See, there are many interpretations possible. people have interpreted this particular thesis of the eternal return of the same in many ways, like many kind of interpretations possible, that you have a very very important kind of contribution in the field of Nietzsche scholarship, especially by Heidegger, Martin Heidegger, and Deleuze. He has his own way of interpreting the notion of the eternal return of the same, and there are many interpretations possible. But I'm not going into the details of this interpretative kind of engagements, Nietzsche's scholarship. But see, let's try to understand or make sense of this absurdity in our own. See, Nietzsche എന്താണ് വാസ്തവത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞത്? എല്ലാം തിരിച്ചു വരും അനന്തമായി എന്ന് Nietzsche പറയുമ്പോൾ what kind of statement it is? Is it a poetic kind of statement, or is it a philosophical, metaphysical kind of statement? Is it a scientific statement? Okay, obviously it is not a scientific statement. We know that because science is an extension of common sense. Common sense in the sense that in common sense we have a linear notion of time where a moment is irrepeatable. Okay, no moment can repeat again. This is a commonsensical understanding of time because our common sense lives within the calendrical time. Okay, നിങ്ങൾ ജീവിക്കുന്നത് കാലൻഡ്രിക്കൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ളൊരു ടൈമിൻ്റെ ഉള്ളിൽ മാത്രമാണ്. അതിൽ മാത്രമേ നിങ്ങളുടെ കോമൺ സെൻസ് വർക്ക് ചെയ്യൂ, അല്ലേ? തിരിച്ചു വരും എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അപ്പം നീഷെ പറയുന്ന ഒരു I'll come to that point later on. See, so what kind of statement it is that everything returns eternally, the eternal return of the same. That same is very important. Nietzsche would say, Deleuze would say that it is not the same but different. Eternal return of the different, not the same. Anyway, see, so the first point that I would like to discuss with you is the nature of this particular statement that everything returns eternally. And I would say that it is not a scientific statement at all. Okay? Scientific statement means what? A scientific statement is a verifiable, verifiability. You have to say whether it is true or false in terms of correspondence, whether it corresponds to the facts. Then verifiability thesis. Verifiability means a statement is meaningful only when it corresponds to the facts. Okay, matter of fact, state of affairs. Okay. So there is no verifiability here. Verify. Is there any possible way in which you can verify this particular statement that everything returns eternally? No scientificity in that sense. Or I would say that it is not a falsifiable statement. There is no falsifiability. Falsifiability means what? Falsifiability is being put forward by another philosopher whose name is Karl Popper. Okay, and according to Karl Popper, a positivist thinker, a statement to be scientific, a statement should be falsifiable. Falsifiability means you should be able to provide an instance, at least one instance where this is false. This statement is false. This statement false ആണെന്ന് പറയാൻ കഴിയുന്ന ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷൻ നിങ്ങൾ പറയണം, ഒരു കണ്ടീഷൻ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പ്രൊവൈഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റിയാൽ മാത്രമാണ് ഒരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ് സയൻറ്റിഫിക് ആവും. So falsifiability is being taken as the condition or as a criterion of scientificity. Okay? A scientific statement, in order for it to be scientific, it needs to be falsifiable. It should have the falsifiability condition. അതായത് ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു ഉദാഹരണം പറയാം. All swans are white എന്നൊരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ്. Popper would say that it is scientific. It is scientific in the sense that, why? Because നിങ്ങൾ എപ്പോൾ വെളുത്തതല്ലാത്ത ഒരു സ്വാനിനെ കാണുന്നോ അപ്പോൾ ഈ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ് ഫോൾസ് ആവും, അല്ലേ? whenever you encounter an experience, a situation where you can see a swan which is not white, then the earlier statement is false. So this is a falsifiability condition. ഒരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റിനെ falsify ചെയ്യാവുന്ന ഒരു ഇൻസ്റ്റൻസ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ലെങ്കിൽ then it is not scientific. So according to this criterion, it is quite obvious that everything statement that everything returns eternally is not a scientific statement, because you cannot say it is false. Okay, not that it is not the case that it is true or false. It is neither true or false. Okay, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് വെരിഫൈ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ശരിയാണെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല, തെറ്റാണെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. A statement which is neither true or false is nonsensical, a kind of nonsense. It doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't have a cognitive value. Having cognitive value എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താ? Cognitive value ഉണ്ടാവുക എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഒന്നുകിൽ തെറ്റാണെന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ശരിയാണെന്ന് പറയാം. Okay, if I say that God is love, this is a religious kind of statement, a statement of faith or whatever, but it is not having any kind of cognitive value in the sense that you can, you cannot say this particular statement is is true in terms of verification. Okay, or you cannot just say that it is false. Okay, it is neither false nor is it true. So this is a nonsensical nature of this statement. It doesn't mean that nonsense is something, as one of the philosophers claim, that it is an important nonsense. Metaphysics is an important nonsense. Okay. Anyway, see, my problem here is that this is not a scientific kind of statement. Don't take this particular statement of Nietzsche that everything returns eternally is not having any kind of scientificity, because it is not a falsifiable statement. And I would say that this particular proposition is not a metaphysical proposition. Metaphysical in the sense, and in philosophy it is being used as a technical term in philosophy. Metaphysics means any kind of any statement about what reality is. Any kind of statement about reality is a metaphysical statement. This is often a kind of misunderstood idea. Okay, നമ്മൾ പലപ്പോഴും മെറ്റാഫിസിക്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് മറ്റൊരു അതിഭൗതികം എന്നുള്ള metaphysics, that term is misleading, that there is a kind of going beyond the physics, a kind of beyond. Meta means you go beyond, okay, the physical kind of thing, and so that is a misleading kind of meaning, because metaphysics means anything could be a metaphysics. Any talk about reality is a metaphysical talk. Any statement about reality, if someone says that reality is material, Marxists and materialists, if they claim that reality is material in nature, that is a metaphysical statement. So even a materialist can be a metaphysical, materialism can be a metaphysical kind of system, that any claim, any kind of statement about what reality is, okay, any claim, any kind of talk about reality as such, not a particular part of reality, but taking reality as such, okay, clear, okay, is metaphysics. And I would say that this particular idea of Nietzsche, a statement of Nietzsche that everything returns eternally, is not a metaphysical statement. It is not about reality. He doesn't mean that everything will repeat again. The whole universe or the nature, the reality or whatever is going to come back again in the same manner. That would be a misinterpretation, a kind of misinterpretation, and it doesn't actually capture the sense in which Nietzsche, at least to my view, what Nietzsche said about it doesn't capture the significance, or it doesn't capture the implications of this particular statement of Nietzsche, that everything returns eternally. Then what kind of statement it is? It is not a metaphysical statement. I would say that it is not a scientific kind of statement about reality, or what reality is, or how reality is being designed. പെട്ടെന്ന് നിങ്ങൾക്കൊരു നമുക്കൊരു തോന്നൽ വരിക, it is about the design, a kind of teleological kind of telos. Okay, teleology means it is about the design. Okay, if someone says that history is a rational process, okay, means the whole historical process is rationally designed, structured. This is a teleological kind of statement. You are talking about the design of a process. Okay, clear. See, is it a teleological kind of statement that about അപ്പം നിങ്ങൾ പറയും കാലചക്രം എന്ന് പറയും അല്ലേ, കാലചക്രം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ലോകത്തുള്ള എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും a kind of in the karma siddhantam എന്നൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ പറയും. A kind of teleology, നിങ്ങളൊരു ഒരു ക്രമത്തെ പറ്റി പറയാം, ഒരു ഡിസൈനിനെ പറ്റി പറയാം. Is this particular statement a teleological statement that talking about the structure, the design, or the order of reality? Okay, I would say that it is not. Then what kind of nonsense it is? What kind of absurdity it is? This is my problem, initial problem that I wanted to share with you. Take it as a thought experiment. I would say that it is a thought experiment of Nietzsche, a kind of thought experiment. And what is a thought experiment? Thought experiment means an imagined kind of situation, okay, imagined situation which actually enables you, okay, to think or rethink the actual situation. Okay. This is the thought experiment. Thought experiment എല്ലാത്തിലുണ്ട്, in philosophy and in science, physics, in all fields of inquiry you have thought experiments. Okay. Thought experiment എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇതാണ്, നിങ്ങളൊരു ഇമാജിൻഡ് സിറ്റുവേഷൻ, ഓക്കെ, സങ്കല്പിക്കുക, ഒരു സിറ്റുവേഷനെ നിങ്ങൾ സങ്കല്പിക്കുന്നു. എന്തിനാണ് നിങ്ങൾ സങ്കല്പിക്കുന്നത്? This imagination is not just a literary or a poetic kind of imagination, it is a productive imagination in the sense that it enables you to rethink the present, which is not imagined. Okay? Actual situation കുറിച്ച് റീതിങ്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ നിങ്ങളെ എനേബിൾ ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു സങ്കല്പം ഉണ്ടാക്കുക. Okay? This is what actually Nietzsche has done when he proposed this idea of eternal return, the idea of the eternal return of the same. See, നിങ്ങളുടെ ലീനിയർ ടൈം എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സങ്കല്പത്തെ ഒന്ന് റീതിങ്ക്. ലീനിയർ ടൈമാണ് നമ്മുടെ ആക്ച്വൽ ടൈം. ഓക്കെ, ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞു, ലീനിയർ ടൈം ഈസ് എ ടൈം വേർ വി ലിവ്. ദിസ് ഈസ് ദ ടെമ്പറാലിറ്റി വിത്ത് വിച്ച് യു ലിവ്. ഓക്കെ, നമ്മൾ ജീവിക്കുന്ന സമയം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ലീനിയർ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ടൈം, രേഖീയമായ ടൈം, രേഖീയമായ സമയമാണ്. ഓക്കെ, again, time is a very difficult notion that even translating time into Malayalam is a problem. Like in any language is a problem. Like see, you have two words in Malayalam, like kalam and samayam, right? Even in Tamil, I suppose, there is a kind of samayam. Okay, samayam, what is time എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നിങ്ങളുടെ സമയമാണ് അല്ലേ, സമയത്രയം എന്നതിൻ്റെ അർത്ഥം. വാട്ട് ഈസ് ടൈം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഐൻസ്റ്റീൻ ചോദിച്ച ചോദ്യമല്ല. ഓക്കെ, ഇപ്പം നിങ്ങളോട് വാട്ട് ഈസ് ടൈം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അക്കോർഡിംഗ് ടു ഐൻസ്റ്റീൻ എന്ന് നിങ്ങൾ പറയില്ല, നിങ്ങൾ വാച്ച് നോക്കുക. ദിസ് ഈസ് യു നോ ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് മീൻസ് സമയം. ഓക്കെ, നിങ്ങളുടെ സമയമാണ്. ബട്ട് when Einstein asked this question, what is time, that is a different notion of time there. Okay, clear? So you have different notions of time, like samayam is there and kalam is there. നമ്മൾ ജീവിക്കുന്നത്, നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് സമയത്തെക്കുറിച്ചാണ്, കാലത്തെക്കുറിച്ചല്ല. ഐ വുഡ് സേ ദാറ്റ്. സി, കാലം മീൻസ് ഇറ്റ്സ് എ കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് മെഷർമെൻറ്റ്. കാലം, ടൈം എസ് കാലം ഈസ് എ മെഷർമെൻറ്റ്. കാലം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കലനം, കലനം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കണക്കൂട്ടുക എന്നാണ് അർത്ഥം. ഓക്കെ, കലനം, സങ്കലനം, ഓക്കെ, കണക്കാണ്. ക്വാണ്ടിഫിക്കേഷൻ, ഓക്കെ, മെഷർമെൻറ്റ് ആണ് ടൈം. ടൈം എസ് കാലം. Whereas time as samayam is a different. സമയം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ സമ്യക്കായിട്ട് അയം, അയം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അയ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ പോവുക, കടന്നു പോവുക എന്നാണ്. ഓക്കെ, കടന്നു പോകുന്നതാണ് സമയം. ഞങ്ങൾ ടൈം പാസ് എന്നൊക്കെ പറയും, അത് മലയാളികൾ മാത്രം ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ഇംഗ്ലീഷാണ് ടൈം പാസ്. ദർ ഇസ് നോ വേർഡ് ലൈക്ക് ടൈം പാസ്. ഓക്കെ, ഓക്കെ, ടൈം ഈസ് ഓൾവേസ് പാസിങ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് എ പാസിങ്. ഈ പാസിങ് ഓവറിനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ കടന്നു പോവുക. ഓക്കെ, അത് ദ ഫിനമിനോളജിക്കൽ ടൈം, the time which moves, it flows phenomenologically, in the sense that I live in that time, experiential, the experiential level. My innale is not your innale. Okay, my present is not your present. Okay, the present where I live is my time. Clear? Where I experience that time, this is a lived time, not an objective time. Okay, I live in that time. I'm not looking at it as a point of measurement. See, നമ്മുടെ experiential time, according to the modernity, the linear time, the linear concept of time, ആക്ച്വലി ദിസ് ലിനിയാരിറ്റി ഓഫ് ടൈം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു പക്ഷേ ചരിത്രത്തിൽ ഒരു പ്രത്യേക ഘട്ടത്തിലുണ്ടായിട്ടുള്ളൊരു സാധനമാണ്. ലീനിയർ നോഷൻ ഓഫ് ടൈം. അതിനാണ് മോഡേൺ എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നത്. മോഡേണിറ്റി, ദ ടൈം ഓഫ് പ്രോഗ്രസ് ആൻഡ് സോ ഓൺ. സി ഇപ്പോൾ it is, sometimes it is being, Nietzsche would say that it is a secularized version of Christian time, the time of Christianity. Okay, that the whole humanity moves from the point of initial fall to the final redemption. This is a Christian notion of time. Yeah, fine. So this could be, in Nietzsche's understanding, the time where we live, okay, the time in which we live, okay, is a secularized version of the Christian time. Christian time means what? Time is a process, is a kind of progressive movement from the point of initial fall to the final redemption. Okay, നിങ്ങളുടെ ആദിമമായ പതനത്തിൽ നിന്ന് ഫൈനൽ റിഡംഷനിലേക്കുള്ള, മുക്തിയിലേക്കുള്ള മനുഷ്യരുടെ ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രസീവ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് ജേർണി ഫ്രം ദ മൊമെൻറ്റ് ഓഫ് ഇനീഷ്യൽ ഫാൾ ടു ദ മൊമെൻറ്റ് ഓഫ് final redemption. This is a linear notion of Christian time, and the time of modernity is actually a secularized version of the Christian time. Okay, see, so what Nietzsche has tried to do is this, to problematize the very notion of time that we have, at the commonsensical level. What he has done is to problematize the calendar, the calendrical time, okay, which has provided, a kind of framework, ontological framework for existence. See, അതിനുള്ള ഒരു തോട്ട് എക്സ്പെരിമെൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടാണ് നീഷെ ഇത് ഈ ടൈം ആസ് എറ്റേണൽ റിട്ടേൺ എന്നുള്ള ആശയം പറഞ്ഞത് എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ പറയാൻ ശ്രമിച്ചൊരു കാര്യം. എത്ര സമയം ബാക്കിയുണ്ട്? ഷീജ, 10 more minutes? Fine. If you have any questions, any points to be further clarified, please ask. Because don't, ഇതൊരു ബോറിംഗ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളൊരു സെഷൻ ആയിട്ട് മാറും. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എന്തുണ്ടെങ്കിലും in any language, means either in Malayalam or English, okay, you please ask me. Anything. Yeah. Yeah.
My name is Vismari, and I'm not a student of philosophy, but I was listening to your lecture, and the moment you told about the eternal return of the same, what came to my mind was the concept of deja vu, which I don't know whether it's not eternal, but that was kind of coming to my mind. So I just want to know whether we can connect that concept to this in any way.
Yeah. I'll come to that question at a later stage of development. Deja vu, right? Deja vu is something that you feel that you have come to this particular place. ഇപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ഇവിടെ വരുമ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ ഞാൻ മുമ്പ് വന്നിരുന്നു തോന്നുന്നതിനാണ് deja vu എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Of course, it is not a real experience, a kind of hallucination, a kind of what you call fantasy situation. Obviously, it could be connected to what Nietzsche talked about, the return, the idea of the return, eternal return of the same. I'll come to the point that you have raised. Thank you for that. Anything that yeah, please. I can hear you. No need of mic. Please.
modernists like Joyce have been very much influenced by this cyclical
Yeah, yeah.
history.
Ah.
So, and I think we say whether my notion is right or wrong, whether it is wrong. The Western concept of time is more linear, whereas the Eastern concept is cyclical. Is it
Personally, I don't agree with that kind of classification. That even in the West, the pre-modern period, you could even the Greek look at the Greek experience of time. You would see an entirely different kind of time, a kind of circular or cyclical notion of time. So it is not fair to say that it is an Indian way. Of course, you have an idea of chakram, kala chakram, and all. But in every civilization, I would say that there is a point where you have a kind of cyclical or linear, non-linear kind of understanding of time. See, the calendrical time, of course, it is more related to the point, the origin of modernity and so on in the West. But this kind of hard classification, division between the West and the Indian would not be, I don't know, maybe we need to think of it more.
the modernists were influenced by Nietzsche's this eternal recurrence?
Modernists, right? Modernists, right?
So I would like to add something to what this was talking about deja vu. Deja vu, in my experience, I have had several such occasions of experiences of deja vu, where I have felt it to be not just hallucination or fantasy. In fact, when I have experienced it on a number of occasions,
Yeah.
I have also had a premonition or a kind of a feeling. It's not a feeling. I get in advance what people are going to talk with each other, what is going to happen there, and the same thing has happened.
Yeah.
So I should like to add to what she said, as it's more than a hallucination or even a fantasy, because there is a different kind of experience of time. There is a multiple causality time also, rather than the commonsensical linear experience of time.
Yeah.
So deja vu, in a way, represents an alternative model of time, I should like to say.
Yeah, you are right. By using fantasy, I do not mean that it is unreal. Fantasy is not unreal. Fantasy is a lived space that we live in that fantasy. Even in, I would say that even your, phenomenological, experiential time, it is not linear, right? As I have already pointed out, that my yesterday is not your yesterday. Only in calendar, my yesterday can be your yesterday. Okay. Only in the quantified time, the linearity possible. But at the level of the qualitative, level of my experience, this moment is different from your this moment. Clear? Like, കലണ്ടറിൽ മാത്രമാണ് ഈ ദിവസം എൻ്റെയും നിങ്ങളുടെയും ഈ മൊമെൻറ്റ്. ഇപ്പം ഞാൻ എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് ചിന്തിക്കുന്നുണ്ടാവുക ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ മൊമെൻറ്റിൽ, അടുത്ത മൊമെൻറ്റിനെ ഞാൻ പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നത്, എനിക്കിത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഒരു കാര്യം വേറൊരു കാര്യം ചെയ്യാനുണ്ട്. ഐ എക്സ്പെക്ട് മൈ മൈ beloved. Okay, you expect it. So future is a kind of potential aspect of your present, this moment. ഫ്യൂച്ചർ എവിടെയാണുള്ളത്? ഫ്യൂച്ചർ കലണ്ടറിൽ മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, നാളെ എന്നുള്ളത്. എൻ്റെ നാളെയും നിങ്ങളുടെ നാളെയും എൻറ്റയർലി ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ്. മൈ ഫ്യൂച്ചർ ഇസ് മൈ എക്സ്പെക്റ്റേഷൻ, my potential aspect of this present. So there is no linearity at this level. So linearity, I would say, that is possible only in a calendrical kind of time. And deja vu could be one of the instances where you can see that the linearity is disrupted. Okay. But so not even in our day-to-day kind of experience, like a phenomenological, the way you experience your time, there could not be anything called linearity. I would agree with you on that point. See, the point that I want, any other reflections on anything? It could be a criticism even.
So can deja vu be connected with collective unconscious, the theory of collective unconscious?
You are actually tempting me to talk about the idea of collective unconscious. It's possible, like you can have some kind of interpretations like that, but I'm not going into that. It's okay, it's fine. Maybe I know a little bit about this collective unconscious business, even though I don't subscribe to that view. Okay, see, again, I would say that the very idea of the unconscious, okay, is problematic. Like, what is this unconscious? Okay, of course, you have a whole lot of theories about unconscious and so on, but I don't personally, if you ask a question as a student of philosophy or a student of theory, now I am not comfortable with the whole notion of the unconscious, not even the individual unconscious, not the collective, okay, because of course that is a different point altogether. Anyway, coming back to this issue, that taking this eternal return business as a thought experiment kind of thing, I will just read out a passage from Nietzsche's Ecce Homo. Okay, Ecce Homo no parayna, see, Ecce Homo no na, this, human, the human, this is the human. ശരിക്കും നീച്ചെ എന്നുള്ളത് നീച്ചെ അല്ല, ഉച്ചരിക്കേണ്ടത് നീച്ച, നീച്ച. Okay, the correct pronunciation of Nietzsche is Nietzsche, not Nietzsche. Anyway, see, a passage from Ecce Homo. Okay, Nietzsche പറയുന്നത് എങ്ങനെയാണ്, Nietzsche പറയുന്നത് എങ്ങനെയാണ്. Ecce Homoയുടെ മുഴുവൻ the full title is How One Becomes What, okay, what one is. How one becomes what one is. This is the full title of Ecce Homo. Where Nietzsche, says like this: what if someday or night, a demon were to steal into your loneliness and say to you, this life as you now live and have lived it before, okay, you will have to live once again and innumerable times again, and there will be nothing new in it, but every pain, every joy, and every thought and sigh, and everything unspeakably small or great in your life must return to you, all in the same succession and sequence. Even this spider and this moonlight between the trees, and even this moment and I myself. It's a beautiful, a poetic kind of statement that Nietzsche made. ആലോചിക്കാം, ഞാനിപ്പോൾ ഈ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് ഇന്യൂമറബിൾ, അസംഖ്യം തവണ വീണ്ടും ആവർത്തിക്കും എന്ന് വെറുതെ സങ്കല്പിക്കുക, വെറുതെ, ജസ്റ്റ് എ വൈൽഡ് ഇമാജിനേഷൻ. ഓക്കെ, ഇറ്റ് ഹാസ് നത്തിങ് ടു ഡു വിത്ത് റിയൽ ടൈം. ഓക്കെ, ഇതെപ്പോഴും ഇങ്ങനെ ആലോചിക്കും. ഏതൊക്കെയോ സമയത്ത് ഓക്കെ ഒരു ഡീമൺ എന്നോട് പറയാന്നാണ്, ഓക്കെ, ഒരു ഭൂതം എന്നോട് വന്നിട്ട് പറയാണ്, ലോൺലിനെസ്. ഓക്കെ, എൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും ഏകാന്തമായ ഏകാന്തതയിൽ ഒരു ഡീമൺ എന്നോട് വന്ന് പറയാണ്, ഈ മൊമെൻറ്റ്, നിങ്ങളിപ്പോൾ ജീവിക്കുന്ന ഈ മൊമെൻറ്റ് അനന്തമായി ആവർത്തിക്കും. ഓക്കെ, ഈ മൊമെൻറ്റ് മുമ്പ് കഴിഞ്ഞു പോയതാണ്, എപ്പോഴോ കഴിഞ്ഞു പോയിട്ടുണ്ട് വീണ്ടും. This is the nature of a thought experiment. I would say that it is a thought experiment, and it is not a scientific or a metaphysical kind of statement, that he is not talking about what reality is and what human is, but how one becomes what one is. This is a question. So I would say that this particular piece of thought experiment, I will try to understand in this particular statement in two ways. Okay, the eternal return of the same. One, a genealogical sense, and the ethical sense. I would personally, my interpretation or my kind of way of understanding of Nietzsche's, but this particular statement is, it has two. I would say that there are two senses in which one can understand the very idea of the eternal return of the same. One is a genealogical kind of sense, and an ethical sense. So genealogical in the sense that the question of genealogy is this, precisely this, that how one becomes what one is. A kind of looking back to the history, not history but genealogy, okay, to inquire, to find out the meaning of what we are. Okay, how does one becomes what he is or what she is. I know this is a whole question of genealogy, a kind of different way of doing history, not a linear kind of doing history, but understanding the present. Okay, a kind of understanding the present in the sense that you try to look at yourself and ask this question: how do we become what we are? You know, this is a whole question of genealogy, and this particular thought experiment makes sense. I will try to make sense in, of this particular idea in terms of Nietzsche's favorite expression, genealogy. Okay, Nietzsche പലപ്പോഴും ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന ഒരു വാക്കാണ് ജീനിയോളജി. ജീനിയോളജി എന്നുള്ള വാക്കാണ് മോഡേൺ കണ്ടംപററി തിയറിയിൽ ഫുക്കോനെ പോലുള്ള ആളുകളൊക്കെ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന ജീനിയോളജി എന്ന്. ജീനിയോളജി മീൻസ് വാട്ട്? എ കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് വംശാവലി, ഗോയിങ് ടു ദ റൂട്ട്. ഓക്കെ, വംശത്തിലേക്ക് പോവുക എന്നാണ്. ഓക്കെ, a kind of radical kind of innovation. Radical in the sense that radical means what? Today morning, madam was using that term radical thinking. Radical means going to the root. Rado is root. You are actually going to the root of the problem. Okay, and you try to understand not it as a past kind of thing, but looking at the present and asking the question: how do we become what we are? Okay, the history of the present. Foucault would say that it is the history of the present. വർത്തമാനത്തിൻ്റെ ചരിത്രമാണ്, പാസ്റ്റിൻ്റെ അല്ല. പാസ്റ്റിൻ്റെ ഹിസ്റ്ററി അല്ല, അല്ല പാസ്റ്റിൻ്റെ സ്റ്റോറി അല്ല. യു ട്രൈ ടു അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡ് ദ ഹിസ്റ്ററി ഓഫ് ദ പ്രസൻറ്റ്. ഹൗ ഡു വി ബിക്കം വാട്ട് വി ആർ? സി, so this is, this idea of the eternal return of the same has to be understood in two important senses, one in the genealogical sense and the ethical sense. I don't have much time to discuss all this, two dimensions of this, or two senses in which this particular idea can be understood. But still, I'll try to explore the ethical aspect, leaving the genealogical. See, എത്തിക്കൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ഇത് മാത്രം നിങ്ങൾ ആലോചിക്കാം. വേറൊന്നും എല്ലാം നിങ്ങൾ ചിലപ്പോൾ ഈ ലെക്ചറൊന്നും മറന്നുപോയാലും ഒരു കാര്യം ആലോചിക്കാം. എന്തിനാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ഈ മൊമെൻ്റ് അനന്തമായി ആവർത്തിക്കും എന്ന് ഞാൻ ഒരു ഭൂതം വന്ന് എന്നോട് പറയുന്ന ആ മൊമെൻ്റ്, അത് ആ ഒരു തോട്ട് എക്സ്പെരിമെൻ്റ് എടുക്കുക. So it repeats. This particular event where I am talking to you, some nonsense, like some kind of reflections or whatever on Nietzsche, and I think that it is, imagine that it will repeat again, going unending, a kind of eternally. Means at least one point is here, the ethical kind of thing. I should be careful, first of all. Careful in the sense that I should be held responsible for whatever that I talk now. Okay, a kind of responsibility in the sense that I am owning the responsibility. Means what? Whatever that I speak now, okay, I am responsible for that. I am the responsibility. Responsibility means what? Responsibility means I am free, basically free. Okay, only a free entity can be responsible. Okay, so free means what? There is an either or. Okay, either or means either this or that. For example, see, I am talking to you now, and I can at any moment I can stop talking to you. I can get out of this classroom or the seminar hall. I can get out of this university or college, and see, there is an either or here. I am living with this either or. Okay, ഒന്നുകിൽ ഇത് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മറ്റൊന്ന്. Okay, whereas as far as this chair is concerned, there is no either or. Okay, ചെയറിന് either or ഇല്ല, അല്ലേ? No either or. Either or എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ there is no freedom. Freedom means either or. That should be a choice. Either this or that. So as far as this particular event, this particular activity, this particular what you call performance is concerned, that I can at any moment choose either to continue or to live or to get out of this classroom or stop this lecturing. So മനുഷ്യരുടെ എല്ലാ ആക്ടിവിറ്റി as far as Nietzsche is concerned it could be interpreted in this manner that there is an either or here. The existentialist thinking-ന് തുടക്കം കുറിച്ച ഒരു ഐഡിയയാണ് ഞാൻ ഇപ്പോൾ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ Nietzsche is being understood or sometimes being interpreted as the one who has inaugurated the so-called existential way of thinking. So existence means what? You exist means you exist with this either or situation. Okay? Either or ഇല്ലാത്ത എന്തെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ നിങ്ങളുടെ ജീവിതത്തിൽ? either or വേണ്ടാന്ന് വെക്കാറുണ്ട് നിങ്ങൾ. ഓക്കെ, വേണ്ട. ബഷീർ ചോദിച്ച മാതിരി വൈ ഷുഡ് ഐ ബി ഫ്രീ എന്ന് ചോദിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. വൈ ഷുഡ് ഐ ബി ഫ്രീ? ബഷീറിൻ്റെ മതിലുകളിൽ അവസാനത്തെ ബഷീറിൻ്റെ ചോദ്യമാണ് ഹൂ വാണ്ട്സ് ഫ്രീഡം, വൈ ഷുഡ് ഐ ബി ഫ്രീ എന്നാണ്. So that is a different situation. Even that situation that you are avoiding, you are choosing not to be free. There is a choice there. Like, clear? My point is clear. ഇപ്പോൾ ഞാനിവിടെ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് ഞാൻ ചൂസ് ചെയ്തതാണ്. Because there is an either or. You are listening to me means again there is an either or. You can at any moment you can stop listening to me. ചിലപ്പം നിർത്തിയില്ലാത്തതുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കും നിങ്ങൾ ഇവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്നത്. And you get bored. Like, ചിലപ്പോൾ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് കേട്ടിട്ട് നിങ്ങൾ ബോറടിക്കുന്നു. ബോറടിക്കുന്നു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താ അർത്ഥം? Boredom is an expression of freedom. That you get bored means there is an either or here. ഇപ്പോൾ കസേരയ്ക്ക് ബോറടിക്കില്ല ഒരിക്കലും, അല്ലേ? ഒരു കസേരയ്ക്ക് ബോറടിക്കില്ല, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വേറൊരു ജീവിക്കും ബോറടിക്കുന്നുണ്ടാവില്ല ചിലപ്പോൾ. വിരസത എന്താണ്? വിരസത മീൻസ് you are basically free because there is an either or. Only when there is a possibility of getting out of this classroom that you can feel sitting in this classroom is boring. Okay? Boredom is an expression of your freedom. So any moment, at any moment, any kind of activity, that you are free. Okay? And Sartre would say that you are condemned to be free. Jean-Paul Sartre, another existential thinker who is heavily influenced by Nietzsche's kind of idea of eternal return and so on, that see, freedom, it is not merely the case that you are free, you are condemned to be free. നിങ്ങൾ സ്വതന്ത്രരാവാൻ ശപിക്കപ്പെട്ട ജീവികളാണ് എന്നാണ്. മനുഷ്യർ സ്വതന്ത്രരാവാൻ ശപിക്കപ്പെട്ട ജീവികളാണ്, വിധിക്കപ്പെട്ടത്. വൈ? ബിക്കോസ് യു കനോട്ട് avoid, you cannot escape from freedom. Because even if you don't want to be free, that is your choice. That is your choice means what? There is a freedom. അല്ലേ? ഇപ്പം ഞാൻ ഇവിടുന്ന് ഇറങ്ങിപ്പോയി, ഓക്കെ, ഈ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ നിന്ന് ഇറങ്ങിപ്പോയി, ഈ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ നിന്ന് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ കോളേജിൽ നിന്ന് ഇറങ്ങിപ്പോയി. ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ I resign from the post of lecturer or professor or whatever, teacher. Okay, I am resigning from all these things, and I am getting out of my family life. Example, okay, that ഇവിടെയൊക്കെ എന്തുണ്ട്? either or ഉണ്ട്. And I can even commit suicide. Committing suicide means what? Again, there is an either or at the very fundamental, basic level, to live or not, to be or not to be. Okay. Committing suicide is the most powerful expression of human freedom. That you can commit suicide means what? You can give up your own body, your own life. Okay? അല്ലേ? കാമു പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളതാണ്, suicide is the most important philosophical problem of our age. Okay? It is the most powerful expression of human freedom, that you can give up, okay, yourself. Okay? No non-human being can commit suicide. ഉണ്ടോ? ഏതെങ്കിലും ജീവിക്ക് സൂയിസൈഡ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ? So see, my point here is that this idea of responsibility and freedom is the ethical implication of what Nietzsche talks about, the eternal return, that you do something not in terms of any kind of transcendental principle like God, because God is dead. The famous Nietzschean statement that God is dead, that there is no standard There is no transcendental kind of perspective or transcendental value in terms of which you can choose one situation or another situation. Do it not in terms of any transcendental principle, any models, without following any protocol, any model. Okay, do it. Okay, not in terms of the intrinsic value of your action, but give value to your actions. That's Nietzsche's point. നിങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുന്ന പ്രവൃത്തിക്ക് ഇൻട്രിൻസിക് ആയിട്ടൊരു വാല്യൂ ഉണ്ടെന്ന് കരുതരുത് ഒരിക്കലും. വാല്യൂ ഈസ് സംതിങ് ദാറ്റ് യു ഹാവ് ടു ഗിവ് ഇറ്റ്. യു ഹാവ് ടു പ്രൊഡ്യൂസ് വാല്യൂ. യു ഹാവ് ടു ഗിവ് ഇറ്റ്, മേക്ക് ഇറ്റ് മീനിങ്ഫുൾ. നോട്ട് ദാറ്റ് a particular kind of action is meaningful in itself, intrinsically. Okay, so നിങ്ങൾ ദൈവത്തിൻ്റെയും ഇൻട്രിൻസിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ളൊരു വാല്യൂവിൻ്റെയും ആബ്സെൻസിൽ പ്രവർത്തിക്കലാണ് എറ്റേണൽ റിട്ടേൺ എന്ന് പറയുന്നതിൻ്റെ ഒരു എത്തിക്കലായിട്ടുള്ള ഇമ്പറേറ്റീവ്, എത്തിക്കലായിട്ടുള്ള ഇംപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ. സോ ഇഫ് യു act, perform an action in such a manner that it will, you think that it will come again, repeating again, eternally, means perform an action in such a manner that there is no God who can dictate your actions, and in such a manner that your actions do not have any kind of intrinsic value. Whatever value, which value is something that you have to give it. This is the responsibility, creativity of your decision. So every decision, as far as Nietzsche is concerned, is creative in the sense that it is something which comes out of nothing. This is a very important kind of ethical lesson or ethical implication of this particular idea of the eternal return or the eternal return of the same. Nothing means what? Nothing again means no thing. You know that Nietzsche's concept of nihilism and all. See, no thing means what? It is not a thing. So you are not a thing. This is basically the idea of nothingness. I am not a thing. I am not a thing means what? I am nothing. I am nothing means what? There is nothing which there is nothing which actually prohibits you from performing a particular action. നിങ്ങളെ ഒരു കാര്യം ചെയ്യുന്നതിൽ നിന്ന് ഒന്നും തടയുന്നില്ലെങ്കിൽ you are absolutely nothing. Sartre would say that freedom is nothingness. Freedom is nothingness. The title of the magnum opus of Jean-Paul Sartre is Being and Nothingness, a no-thingness. See, so what Nietzsche wanted to do, in a sense, is affirming the nothingness of your being. Nothingness of a being means, what? This is another point that we need to discuss, and I don't think that we will have enough time to discuss all these aspects, but I will just conclude with this, that this is a kind of move which I would say that a kind of deconstructive kind of move, or a kind of what you call a kind of problematizing the entire tradition of philosophizing. Because philosophy cannot just proceed, philosophy cannot just survive without this idea of what you call essence or being or whatever, which Nietzsche is vehemently opposed to. That he would say that there is nothing called being. Being is a notion, a concept which is possible only when you look at things in a linear fashion, a linear way. So being, as far as Nietzsche is concerned, is always becoming. Another notion which is again a loaded kind of notion, but so this becoming, a processual kind of understanding of what we are, is one of the important contributions of Nietzsche. And I would say that this idea of eternal return of the same is it returns again and again. Nietzsche, I would say, that will return eternally in different forms, not as Nietzsche, not as return of the same, but return of the different. Right? Nietzsche's return will be return of the different, not return of the same. I'll stop at this point, and if you have any questions, please we'll have